Hey guys, welcome to the Love Your Brand podcast, Pie in the Wood. We are sharing with you today the power of LinkedIn. Why? No, you need to be on LinkedIn in 2025. No questions asked. In this episode, we're going to share everything you need to know and how to leverage LinkedIn right now. Come join us for the ride.
Welcome to the Love Your Brand podcast. If you're looking for real conversations with real people, you're the right place. Let's go!
Let's go, baby. All right. Latest pie in the what, guys? Week of the 21st of May.
Already. What year are we? 2020?
2025, keeping it alive.
Dude, the
Alive.
last 5 years have gone by fast. Feels like yesterday we had that pandemic thing.
Yeah, it does. It's like a blink of an eye, right? But today's going to be a quick episode. I just want to try to come in and pop a little knowledge or conversation and talk about the power of LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah. It's my favorite platform.
2025, it has really made some leaps and bounds. It's grown tremendously. 4 out of 5 people on there are reflecting the decision makers, and especially for B2B. Guys, if you're in B2B business and you're not on LinkedIn right now, then you're potentially going to get left behind.
You're missing out.
It's hard to catch up. It's very hard. There's such a huge opportunity right now for you to be on a social platform and really target your decision makers. Now, I'm not talking about quantity, right? Let's talk about quality. You could be very specific, right? Like, use your search bar. Target the personas, your geographic area that you want to reach. It's not necessarily about quantity, but use it leverage it to your advantage. And I would even say, starting out, don't even worry about Sales Navigator. You got a lot of the same functionality. Just go in there and try to make connections with people in your network that you can have a conversation with. Start a conversation.
Well, you nailed it with network. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the power of it. What are those statistics? It's like 1 billion people there now on LinkedIn, and it's just grown astronomically. And I mean, it's the number one networking site in the world now, professional networking site. And so, like, so often, I mean, with LinkedIn, I mean, compared to the past, Jason, how it compared to other social media platforms, but with LinkedIn, I mean, now they have like those industry specific LinkedIn groups that you can join and be a part of. And so, like, the hidden gold mine really of LinkedIn is forming those strategic connections. And so it allows you to kind of supercharge your networking, if you will. And so the 2020, I mean, I said that at the very beginning when it started up, that's where we really went virtual with all things because we couldn't go anywhere anymore. And so now people are doing like these virtual meetups on LinkedIn. They're creating like local meetups from meeting first virtually on them. And then like the power of networking with LinkedIn really is commenting regularly. We talk about this, often, to where it's not as much about what you post. It's really about showing up in those comments and starting to build some real connections there. And so I think that's what a lot of people with LinkedIn just don't understand, that there's really power in.
And one thing about LinkedIn, guys, it needs to be in your toolkit. But I want you to set expectations. If you hear me talking about it, and you hear me all the time on LinkedIn, playing the long game. Playing a long game is not exciting. A lot of people, I mean, you're looking at like an 8-month sales cycle, an 18-month sales cycle. People have to see your stuff, 12 to 15 times now. And when you go on LinkedIn and you do reach a decision maker, your whole objective is just to make a networking connection, because if they don't have a need, a problem for you to solve, because remember, sales is just problem solving, then you don't sell anything. But a year down the road, something crops up, you want to be the first person top of mind. Maybe they have that problem that comes up that you consistently talked about, nurtured, educated about. Well, guess who they're going to come to, right? So the expectations of this instant gratification, really LinkedIn's a long game. You're building your brand equity for your, not only your company, but your personal brand. And think about it, guys. If you have a business, a B2B business, and you grow that personal brand and nurture it, if you make pivots, then you have an audience. You can always leverage this for the long game. Even if you're in like an objective where you're trying to do a short sale or this and that, and you're just like, I don't want to invest. It doesn't make sense. It does, unless you're just gonna like croak, right? Or disappear from planet Earth. Um, it's a win-win.
Disappear from planet Earth?
That's it, man. You know?
Don't want that.
Yeah. I mean, we can go down that rabbit hole, but we'll save that for another
Another time to
episode.
what?
But approximately 65 million decision makers as of 2025, guys. 65 million. And 10 million C-level executives, making it a pivotal platform for B2B marketing and sales. There's no specific, percentages, but it was 930 million in 2023. Now it's over 1.1 billion in early 2025.
It's a lot of people.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But when it comes to LinkedIn, it's just remember, it's not instant gratification. You got to put in the work. You got to be consistent. You've got to do it for your company page and your personal profile page, and you've got to kind of share on both of them. That's a really hot topic because a lot of people are like, oh, your company page, just blah blah blah. It doesn't get the impressions. It doesn't get the reach. I want to suggest leave metrics out of your mindset. What happens is if you start focusing on the metrics, then you lose focus on what LinkedIn was built for, right? It's built for quality. So be super intentional. Pick 10 companies or people that identify as your perfect ICP and really nurture those relationships, right? You don't have to serve everyone. Just be very intentional. Start a conversation. Number one goal is ask them a question about them, right? It's not about you. It's about them. Develop a relationship. Like Jay Hill said, it's a virtual networking platform, right? Just like we used to do back in the day at trade shows or at networking events. I mean, that's what it is, guys.
So, Jason, one thing you brought up, personal page versus the business page. This is a question I get a lot. People talk about how much should I invest in the personal page versus the business page. And we often say, people buy from people, they don't buy from businesses. And in the past, I think we always used to hide behind the business and put the page out, but you don't have a personality. There's some brands that have done a really good job of putting a personality behind the business. Wendy's is an example. They are such a troll. Wendy's restaurant chain, they go on and you can see the personality behind this brand. But with the professional space like this, it's going to pack more of a punch to focus on the personal profile. And for business growth, because it gets you in, it invites you in to build a relationship for the people behind the brand. And so think of the proper way to build a website. When we go to these websites, really our attention span is so small. So the above the fold, when somebody hits a site, before they can scroll down and look, it's what is up top of that page. And so when we talk to people, you build your profile on LinkedIn the same way you would build a website, because LinkedIn now is becoming like a website. So with the cover photo up top, you put something inside that cover that really shows your unique value proposition. And then you got to have like a specific call to action for the people that visit your profile. And you mentioned like Sales Navigator earlier, Jason. I mean, you can go in with LinkedIn and you can see who is looking at your profile. And so when you know who your target market is and you have your ICP, you can see when you're starting to post stuff that they're going to your page, they're checking out your profile. And so you got to make sure your profile is dialed in for those. And you can put social proof of how have helped other people out, but just think at the top above the fold, your profile section of LinkedIn is gold. And so many people are doing that incorrectly. They don't have any value up there. It's just talking about themselves like, hey, I've done this, I've been in this industry for this many years, I've done yada yada yada, instead of I help businesses XYZ. So when somebody hits your profile, they immediately know how you're going to provide value if you start to engage and network and build a relationship with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And going back to the company page, guys, I change my mind sometimes, right? I think as we all do as human beings, you start to see things from new perspectives. Like I'm all in on the personal brand, right? And that builds business. But, I want to talk to companies as well because you want to make sure that you continue to invest in your company profile as well. Couple reasons. If you leverage your fruits just on a couple key players in your business, and let's face it, right now churn rate is exponential. The brand loyalty is at an all-time low with companies. If they help build that following and for some reason they leave and you're not putting in the work into your company page and providing that same value and that service, then guess what? They go with them. They could go to somewhere else and be talking. It could be, a competing company, and they still bring that same level of engagement, and you don't. It's like a twofer. It's like a times two. You've got to leverage each other. So on your company, you've got to share your personal brand. On your personal brand, you've got to share your company brand and bring that value. I truly believe it. At one point I was like, companies, it doesn't really matter. But the more I think about it, it's just as powerful. Like, and it's a way with your company profile to showcase your culture and to attract talent as well. So that's a whole nother aspect of your business is you want to constantly be able to attract top talent as well. So if you're relying just on your personal profile for that, that might not be the best avenue. So, and it's something that us as an agency that we've got to work on because we've been focusing, on personal brands, but it's something that I identified that the company brand has just as much influence, but it may not get the approximate reach, but you could provide the same value, have the same conversion opportunities. If a potential client comes to your personal profile and goes to your company profile, then you need to have it very conversion friendly and be ready to discuss the sale because they're pretty interested at that point. Are you catching what I'm putting down, JL?
I'm catching what you're putting down. Hopefully the people that are watching are catching what you're putting down.
And if you're
Yeah.
not, then sorry. I do have a slight cold, so I feel and sound a little muffled. So I'm trying to
Well, I'm
still
glad.
power through that because I love you guys so much, and
Love.
I'm that's how we are. We're
That's
hard,
how you
baby.
are.
We're
And
hard.
thank goodness you have a good microphone so we feel like we're really, handling that cold with you, you know.
Hey, you follow along to every sniffle,
Come on the
and
journey. Come on the
just
journey.
just come with us, baby.
I agree with you, Jason. I think at the end of the day, with the personal page and the business page, it's a both and. You can't neglect one or the other. There's kind of a ratio because you have to have a presence. But it kind of every audience is different. But LinkedIn is that B2B space, and it's interesting with LinkedIn. So let's compare like LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram in regards to how we connect with people. So Facebook, kind of started it all off with social media, and we have friends. And so you do a friend request, and they're these people. Typically, it's like family, that we have. There are Facebook friends. Instagram, you follow along, right? And so you go find a page. It could be Jason Ramsey. I hit follow. And so I'm following the activity that you're putting out on Instagram. And, you know, when it started off, people are posting pictures of their food, what they're having for lunch, you know, all this stuff. But I mean, you're kind of following along that journey. But even the verbiage, so LinkedIn, you connect, you find somebody, and the button is connect. And so even that language invites you into a different kind of relationship to manage on social media to where you're connecting with this person. But instead of just connecting, because if you know, we'll speak to people today, like, you know, a little bit about LinkedIn, but if you don't, I mean, that connection, it immediately sends that connection request to somebody, but you got to do more than just, you know, hit that connect button. You got to communicate with them. And this is the opportunity with LinkedIn you have really to kind of transform those cold connections that you have no relationship with into warm relationships. And that's how you can like personalize your connection request. So Jason, let's say I don't know you, but I see your profile, I see what you're offering, and I want to have a mutually beneficial relationship with you. And if I just send that connection request, you don't know me, so you may decline it. Like, who is this guy? Who's this clown, you know, trying to connect with me? But that's where we have to do a little bit of research. I go on your profile, I see stuff that you've posted, things that have value. And so then if I send that connection request to you, really communicate on that level of, hey, Jason, that last post that you put on, you know, your brand therapy framework, blah, blah, blah. And it shows that I actually engage. It showed that I actually am trying to build a relationship with you. I'm applauding your efforts and the content and the value that you're providing. And so when we start building those relationships, and then it's like the trickle down the pyramid effect. You know, you connect with that one, then you tap into their network, you tap into their network. Before you know it, it started here at one. Now you're connecting with thousands of people, and it starts with that one. And so I just say all that to where don't just hit that connect button, actually communicate with your audience, with the people that you want to build a relationship with.
Absolutely. And don't get stuck on the metrics, guys. We're in this culture now, it's so data driven, right? I'm
Yeah.
not saying data is not important, but I mean the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 interactions where people reached out, they had no engagement on any of my stuff. Like I didn't even know they were watching, right? So
Doesn't that kind of tick you off? Sorry to interrupt, man. But you're like, hey, man, what? Can't you give me like a thumbs up or just a good job?
come
And
on,
they're like,
man.
just back in the background, like, I like your stuff, but I'm not going to publicly say it.
Trying to hit the algorithm, baby. Just
Come on.
just just give me a little interaction. But it's true. Um, I mean, I was reading some poll, you know, every company wants to have all their individuals that are associated with that brand be ambassadors, right? So they like to think that they create a company profile and that they're all going to share it and showcase the brand and whatnot. And you know, but it's hard. A lot of people do not like to do that. It's a very hard pill to swallow. But that's why, you know, just put a lot of this effort in and just know it's the long game, right? I just want to say it's not data driven. It's not cheap either. It takes a lot of time and effort. Um,
Totally.
you know, it's an investment, guys. Like I don't want you to look at it and say, "Oh, it's like PPC. Let me go spend money and I'm gonna, you know, run an ad, run it through a funnel, and get a sale." Like it's an investment in your not only your personal brand but your business brand and all your future business endeavors. Right? You're building this network for life, and you know it's a great place. If you're there, people know that you're there to do business. Right? So it's an undertone, right? You don't have to sell. You don't have to, you know, people are like, don't be too salesy, this and that. Yeah, don't, but do. At some point, you've got to say, if you've got this problem, I can solve it, right? Like at some point, I'm all about giving value, 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 value. But don't forget at some point to let people know what problems you solve.
Jason, that's a good point. And here's a little tip for people. The conversation really starts in the comments. It's not as much what we post. You know, we put a graphic, we put a carousel, series of carousel images, we put a video. That's like, you know, and you put the hook. in the first line or two of that to where it stops people in their tracks. But really it's in the comments that you start having conversations. And you look at the industry influencers, like I compare it like Instagram and TikTok, influencer, that name gets a bad rap. But like industry influencers, that's why I like LinkedIn. You go there and you're really getting solid business advice of, people that have been in the game that can really deliver value. And so you're really getting to shadow these people who provide so much value. And so when you go down in the comments, you can find these industry influencers or the people that are in you want to join and get a part of their network and get a part of their community. Go in there and give thoughtful comments. Like when somebody posts something, you just don't go in and say, hey, that's so good. like like affirm what they're saying, like, hey, you really nailed it with this one, and then offer something of value to it on top of that, and be like, one extra thing that I see is blah blah blah. And from there you start getting eyes from all these other people. And like you're saying, it's an investment of time. I mean, to go in there and comment, there's people I follow that talk about they're commenting for 5, 6, 7 hours a day. Now, not everybody can do that, and they had goals of where they wanted to go and become a LinkedIn influencer and kind of the go-to resource in LinkedIn marketing. And so all goals are different, but you show up in the comments and you start getting those eyes on you. And, then that's where things, because you're tapping into that network. Think of those connection requests that I talked about earlier with communication as opposed to just connection. You have your first connection, your second, your third, people that are outside of your loop. It's an easy way to start tapping into people that you never would have had an opportunity to reach just by commenting on these posts. And so show up, have meaningful conversations inside the comments.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And another cool note, guys, let's face it, we're getting older and golder, but you got Gen Z and this younger generation. Notable trend is there about 50% of the younger B2B buyers consult over 10 influencers during their purchase journey, or thought leaders, right? So they're not making these instant trigger pull decisions. They're checking out the landscape. They're seeing what people are sharing and what space, and they're doing all this online. So that's huge. That's just another reason for you to decide. I looked at LinkedIn as legacy, right? Um, because when you're building now, you're building for the future in LinkedIn, you know? Especially with the new generation that is coming, that is on LinkedIn and that is fueling LinkedIn. I just see it as such a valuable resource for B2B business. Look, I see it as a valuable resource for any business. Like if you're a health coach, get on LinkedIn, right? It's a no-brainer for me. It's like you got business people, people that are working, people that are obviously want to stay optimized, to be producers, to be um, entrepreneurs. They want to be successful and achieve, right? If it's for their families, for themselves, whatever, they've got goals. So what better if I'm a health coach? That's the kind of people I want, right? I don't want people just like randomly finding me on Instagram or Facebook as a second hand. I look at it as it's definitely an avenue to explore. Like, so I'm not saying, look, B2B, it just made a super big impact right now in 2025, but B2C has always been there, right? So think about it. If you're a health coach and you want to offer, you've got a lot of companies now looking for alternative health opportunities for their business. Maybe they want to offer, group memberships to this health and wellness coach, right?
Corporate
Boom, there you
wellness
are.
programs.
Wellness programs. Like you start thinking about it, the sky's the limit, and you're not on Instagram with a billion other health coaches. So, think of it and get creative with it. I think everyone should leverage it, right?
And we have to grow our network on LinkedIn. You can't, and it's not a vanity thing of I have 1,000 followers, 10,000 followers, 100,000 followers. It's not a vanity metric of just looking at how many people I have. But business today, we make transactions every single day, and we purchase things because they solve a problem that we have. From the shirts that we buy to from business things, everything, there's a problem that is solved. And so it's our duty, if we have a solution for somebody, to get that out there. And so like with connection requests, and I get this question sometimes about how many connection requests. And basically, you can grow your network at like a perfect pace of around 100 connection requests each week. And the reason I say 100 is because that's going to keep you underneath that spam detection that LinkedIn has and that threshold. Because the last thing you want is to get your account shut down. And so by just focusing, finding the people that you want to grow with, the people that you want to network with, and it ensures that steady network expansion. And so this is how you're going to grow quickly, and then pushing out that content that's going to help you increase your visibility, overall. And so if you're not going after those connection requests, you're just sitting here sending it out to a small group that's not going to see your message. And that goes back to the importance of why you have to comment in other posts so that you expand your reach.
Mhm. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank
So
you.
if, I mean, if you're out there and you're just like, hey, it's overwhelming. I know it was overwhelming for me. It takes a lot of time and effort, and sometimes you've got to utilize, other people, other assets, other companies, other, um, consultants or whatever. Our one of our sister agencies, TalenAlexander, right here. If you're just like, I don't know what to do, or I've got my LinkedIn account and I want you to review it, or I need help, or I need strategy, bada bing, hit us up. We'll have a free discovery call. No worries. Check it out and shoot it to you straight. Right? I think it's a no-brainer. Just want to put that out there. Once again, it's a problem. We can solve it.
Check
Hit
out the
us up.
hook while my DJ revolves it.
Baby. I didn't want to say Ice Ice Baby just in case, any kind of
Oh, we're gonna get shut down. We
royalty
can't even
fees.
say his name.
Yeah, we don't want to give away our $2 that we make.
Man, that's Rob Van Winkle, Ice Ice Baby. Most people don't know that. It's not just his name, Vanilla Ice.
Oh man, awesome.
Jason, one other thing with LinkedIn, we call it a wrap and have a part two on LinkedIn, but it's like so often people they get in a state of paralysis, like, what do I post? I don't know what to post. Or they just start thinking that they have nothing of value. And you always have like your strategic business kind of updates, and really, I mean, it's news that matters, but you don't want to just be promotional fluff of my business all the time. Like, look at me, look at me, look at me. And so, like that traditional business stuff that you can always post is like new product launches, that are solving the real problems for your ideal customer, or those anytime you have the company updates and milestone celebrations. I mean, we recently had a team building event, went and rode go-karts. It's like those things invite you in to like see the culture of the
Mm-hmm.
company, see the
Mm-hmm.
culture of the teamwork and what is important to this organization. Because you want to show those behind the scenes things so you can see what kind of organization you're going to partner with, because business is a partnership. But I think the things that most people they get a lot of engagement is really sharing your industry lessons. And so by turning all of your experience, the things that we have all gone through, into engagement gold, if you will, by really sharing what you've learned. And a lot of times this can be sh- sharing mistakes that we've made and how other people can avoid them. I mean, we've all like messed up so much in business and in life. Sharing those things and saying, hey, these are the top 3 ways to avoid this mistake I made. That's like clickbait that people want to see. I don't want to make the same mistake that Jonathan made. And, insider tips from the things that you've done in your professional journey, or trends that you've spotted, before others have. Like, all of this stuff is relevant information. You don't just have to think from the perspective of what has my organization done. Think of these ways, hey, how I failed, and the top lesson that I learned from failure that helped set my business up for success today. these things. These are the things that people are truly hungry for. Because when we look at all the people like the Gary V's, the Donald Millers, all these people that are, very esteemed in the industry, so often we think, I will never be like that person. But it's like we all want these tangible, real relationships of somebody that's just like you and I that has had those same struggles. Speak to me frankly and be real. And that's how we grow together. So just when you're thinking about content to post, doesn't have to be, a news update with your business. It can be real life and how that can help somebody else.
Mm-hmm. And just what I do is I just record myself because I'm always kind of on the go. God, I know that's so loud when I just did that. And we use that technology now a lot when we have meetings. We're constantly recording, so I try to leverage content that I'm always creating on the go to reference, because let's face it, I'm not the best at organizational skills, right? I'm always like, just ideas are going this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. So that's how I've been able to capture it, and utilizing additional people on the team to help cultivate that content. Because it's difficult for me just because of the time, and so I've really got to be super intentional and dedicate a little bit of time every week to focus on that. So it's not easy. There's different ways to make it work. It's just, that's why, having a call and really figuring out what is your flavor, right? How do you operate? It's not one size fits all, right? So if you just go out to hey, this company does LinkedIn, it's not an out of a box solution. It's really
Custom.
needs to be custom based on what you're trying to accomplish, right? And I've seen a lot of people do it, and it's like, if it was left to my own devices, I would rarely post, right? Or you would just get a single pic and 5 words, because I'm just just on the move. So I've got to be really diligent and have people help me, and that might be where you're at. You're just like, wow, I know I need to do it. I know it's beneficial for my business, especially building long-term good business and value. You just got to pull the trigger and start somewhere, right? And don't worry about the metrics. Don't worry about anything. Just start, right? That's always the hardest thing, right? Is starting. It's like our podcast. You just got to start somewhere, right?
100%, man. 100%. I was working out with a buddy this morning, and we were talking about that, the days when you don't want to do it. Hardest part is just starting. Once you start, man, you put that wheel into motion and it starts rolling, then it's easy. But you just got to start.
Yeah. Audience is real lucky. They almost got a solo episode of me at midnight. You would have probably been cracking up. But anyway, there's more to come. We got a lot of new stuff in the pipeline, y'all. It's so exciting. This is a huge year for us. A lot of changes. So please follow, share, like, all that good stuff. We know you're going to love it. We're going to be offering so much value, and our reach is just going to continue to increase. So if you're interested in any sponsorships or want to come on the podcast, I know you've got a story to share. You've got a lot of value. Let's get it. Now's the time.
Let's get it.
Let's get it.
Thanks for joining, everybody.
All right.
See you next time.
Pine to what?
Peace.
Thanks for listening and joining us on the Love Your Brand podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode, and remember, share the love.